This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara Sutphen. Tara Sutphen is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives, Soul Agreements, and The Abenda Chronicles. Grammy-nominated audios, videos, and MP3 series. You can find these MP3 series now at TaraInsight.com.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen. This is my guest, Jacquie Jordan. And Jacquie she's tvguestpert.com, and she has gotten so much talent out there in the world. And she's a publisher, a publicist, and also a big producer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jason.
Hello,
Hi, Jason.
Jacquie.
And Jason.
Welcome.
D. McKean is the voice of over 1 million recordings of Om. And welcome, Jason.
Good morning. Morning, Tara.
Yeah.
How are you?
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for having me back on this auspicious 9/11 day.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
And it's definitely an intense reminder, and it's also intense with what's going on in the world right now. So,
yes.
Yeah.
When you look at me,
I know. It's so funny.
You have to look straight. Yeah. So the thing is that, it's, I believe that Jacquie comes with such wise wisdom. And so this is segment 2 of all that wonderful wisdom that she's going to share with us today.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to give a little prayer to the 9/11 time for us, because, we've been in such a odd space with the COVID-19 year of 2020. I would like to bless and everybody who we were in that time as well. And it's such a big, step to remember that and to honor everyone who did their very best to help others. So I just wanted to send a blessing to all the people who held sacred space and who actually helped within that traumatic time in our world. And, everyone seemed to have a little PTSD after that. And there was a lot of fear around all of us and our world. And that has been definitely this last year. Everybody has been in a bit of fear. So we know that we can rise above it. It is within our DNA that our ancestors were risk takers, and their courage lives through us. So let's just, accept that we are brave, beautiful humans, and that we will step up to be our very best and to help and support others when they need it, because we know that when it is our turn, we will be helped as well. And there's so many fires and all sorts of stuff around. And we just bless everybody right now, just really the help and support. Let's just put ourselves out there as far as being really good humans. We ask it and we beseech it and we mark it. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
So disappearing here. And so tell me, Jacquie, the wise words of keep on moving, during these times, because that's why we chose the subject today, because, we're all innovators in helping you keep going. And so what would you like to offer?
Well, isn't it interesting? Because 2020 has definitely been, no pun intended, but like a throw you off your horse year. And I feel like, there was in 2019, I'm not a New Year's Eve person. I'm not a person who says set New Year's Eve goals. Like, that is not me. I'm a day-to-day person. Like, how do we live our best life on a daily basis? But I remember there was a lot of talk and anticipation at the end of 2019, going into the year 2020. It was going to be our best year ever, best this, best that. And in some ways it will probably prove to be on levels we didn't expect it to be, but it's definitely been a year that has thrown the whole world off, its horse in terms of where we thought we were going to where we actually are. And I think the idea of keeping going forward, one, on a personal level, I think is really put us in touch with where our personal resiliency is. Like, how resilient are we? What are we really committed to? What is our fortitude towards it? I think it showed us where people were out of alignment with what they truly want, who they truly are, who they could truly be. And when we're hit with crises like 9/11 or COVID or the fires, it just really brings down to the basic, like, what are your values, and simply what are you in alignment with? And it shows you where you're not in alignment to things in your life that you think are important that are really not important at all. And the desire to move forward, which I know you do a lot with your hypnotherapy with your clients, is helping people with their blocks. But for me, it's not just only on the big things; it's really on the little personal day-to-day basis. Like I said, I definitely look at long-term because I work with a lot of projects with my clients at TV Guestpert. We work on long-term book projects. Writing a book is not ever a short-term goal. It's always a long-term goal, as you both know, having written many properties before. It's not something that happens in a moment's notice in an instantaneous world that we live in. So I work on a lot of projects, but it's always like, what's the incremental pieces to that project to get to that goal, and staying in the place of creation, not destruction. And how do we be of service to others through what we're creating? And I run up against a lot of people who are either afraid to put it out, or there's a loss of control. I always say there's three things that people are like universally fear. Like, they fear losing control when they put themselves out there, or their talents or their creativity. The loss of control because you can't control how the world's going to receive it. The fear of rejection as a result of it, or abandonment are part of it. And just the third one I would just say was just the basic fear that comes up. I guess so those are the things that come up for people. I know that both of you deal with it in your own ways with your through your practices. What are some of the fears that come up when people are afraid to go forward?
Well, I think it's the programming. I had somebody yesterday was saying how traditional therapy, and I love talking about things, but just talking about things actually move you into, solve a resolution of things. It's constructive action. So the thing is that, I know that all three of us really try to help people get into their constructive action.
And that I say is God. So I always say right action is God. It puts you in alignment with God's sequences. Procrastination, paralysis, putting things off, puts you into sequences, the consequences of doing that. And so if you're in the right action and right alignment, you are sequencing, the best, highest expression of the outcome. And when you're procrastinating or delaying, or you're caught in the paralysis of fear, you end up creating consequences that don't put you in your highest alignment, highest expression. And it's very, very, very subtle how, the subtle space of that could have very different outcomes to it. And, I think we're way more powerful than we give ourselves credit for being in terms of being creators.
Yes. Everybody.
I think we're way more powerful in terms of, what we actually can control And there's a lot of things we cannot control.
Yes.
But yeah, so I would write action. I was thinking God sequences, delayed reaction, or, you should have done it, or you didn't listen to that intuitive voice. You end up getting the consequences.
Right. I call that shamanic signs. When you have the shamanic signs that give you a red flag. When they're a red flag, listen. When things aren't easy, listen, because you're being guided into going in another direction.
Yeah, I always have to check myself too. I always, there's a few ways I have to check myself. It's like, so is it faith or foolery? And you have to, and I used to think like, well, if it worked out in my favor, then it was great faith. If it didn't work out in my favor, it was foolery. And that's where releasing the results, releasing outcome, and staying just in faith, regardless of the outcome, is so important. And that releases that little that trap. And then the other one for myself that I'm always checking myself is thinking and knowing. Mm-hmm. Thinking's important. Thinking is like, let me just think this through as I walk out the door. Where are my keys? I need to think this through. What am I doing for the day? That's thinking. But knowing is that that it kind of comes up, and you don't have to think about it. You just know it. And that intuitive knowing is so important. And I find that that's what meditation does, is it really helps cultivate and fortify that internal guidance place, knowingness. And I like living on my knowing. I don't want to be caught up in my thinking. Like, thinking's important, but no, I like to be in my knowing. And it's funny because I had a little hit this morning. I have to call the insurance company. My intuition was a knowing that came up, and I could feel myself instantly go like, I'll do it on Monday. And I was like, Jacquie, you just got the direction, knowing, do it. It's just like little subtle things like that, but it keeps us in the right sequencing, as opposed to having to deal with the consequences, So I'll have to let you know what actually happens when I call the insurance company today. But I'm expecting that it's going to be super easy because I had knowing.
They may just say, call us back on Monday. We'll have the answer for you.
There we go.
But
yeah. Well, this is great, because I'm just like soaking it in. It's like having a front row seat here to all this wisdom, and it's like. It is important to not take any shortcuts when you have your goals. You do have to set the stage within yourself. You must take that time to familiarize yourself with your goal, to know why you're attached to it, and to speak it. Right? There's power in that. There's power in bridging your inner self with the outside world, whether you're talking to a friend, whether you're talking to an advisor, someone who can help you, to move forward on it. But it is important also to act. And all of these things are in that cycle of flow. It's that cycle that, once we put something out there into the world, then we can see how it's landing. We can see if it's being effective, and then that comes back as information, and we can adjust accordingly, or just keep doing the same thing. Hopefully, when we get into a cycle of flow, we don't just build a groove that becomes a rut. Right? It's like always where we right. look to maybe change things up, maybe add another layer, so that we're not just doing the same things over and over, because as humans, it's like we like patterns, we like familiarity, and it's like, oh, well, if it ain't broke, why fix it,
Mm-hmm. And the biggest one, you give me a routine, I'm like, yay, control.
Right? Control. I mean, that's a important word, because it does feel like we become like the master of our own universe, if
and the antidote, of course, is balance. Mm-hmm. Structure within non-structure.
And the known and the unknown, all right? As far as where we keep making strides towards areas that we're not that are not in our comfort zone, where we keep, pushing those boundaries so that we can expand, right? That's what expansion is.
And the perfection and the imperfection is usually way more perfect than seeking perfection, because then we may, like trip ourselves up by being in that procrastination spot or thinking we need this outcome when, that's enough. So I think that when you are using hypnosis, if you can't get into a calm state of mind for 15 minutes in the morning or right before you go to bed, if your mind is working overtime, going round and round and round, and you're too busy worrying about things, you need to reprogram. You need to enhance your mind. You need to definitely strengthen your mind. And so I really would say that visualizations at that point would help many, because, and then on practical levels right now it's a really good, I love all the psychic ability as well. And if you have your practical in control, then you start to do the fun stuff. But there's a lot of wonderful practical ways to get in your wellness, to get in your strength of mind, so that you're ready to make those moves forward. Because it's definitely, if you need to prepare yourself, then not be hard on yourself that you do need to prepare yourself to get in the mindset, strengthen the mind, get healthy, get, motivated, stop the depression, stop all that worry. We don't know what's going to happen. We've never known what's going to happen. The unknown has always been there for us. It's part of that gravity.
Isn't that funny about the 2020, put us in touch with the fact that we really are always in uncertainty, even though we're always in uncertainty. Like uncertainty has always been there. But just because we had routines, we felt safe and secure in what we thought we were doing.
Yes.
But uncertainty is the universal principle. Really,
it is. It is an opportunity, right? It's like I was teaching a tarot class called Cultivating the Unknown, where one uses it as an opportunity to really just dive into it and to explore it and to not fear it, but to because like the tarot itself, it's like you're looking at the backs of cards, right? When you read, so everything is unknown when you dive into it, and it puts you very much into the present moment, and you can like just get out of being too formulaic about things, where again you kind of get into like this idea that life is like a factory work. I do this and this and this and this, and it's those patterns that we get into, and when those patterns break, it's like, who are we? What is at our core, and are we resilient enough to be able to take that essence of who we are and have that on display. Bring that out.
When you said about perfectionism, you think you said it. Perfectionism. I
think Tara said it.
Perfection is to me one of those just life killers. Perfectionism doesn't serve. And so this isn't my term, but I love mediocrity makes money. Because so many people won't put something out there, and even a lot of people won't even start our company services because they're not ready. I always say to myself, well, what do you think you need to be ready for?
Ready is you're going to get them ready.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I'm going to get you ready.
You used to do the same thing. It's like
Jason's going to get you ready.
Sometimes just putting the call, like the action of just reaching out for help. I love accountability, whatever shape or form, accountability partners, whether like coaches or what we do for media development. It's like, just getting that into a structure so that you have a accountability and, can put things into motion and a plan in that, I think is really like, it's a simple tool. Those like some things are just a very, very simple tool. And I always work I always have to do accountability. Like I get a lot of creativity. I write my list, my ideas, and then I have to, also not my term, but I love it. It's not how will I do this? It's who will I do this with? Mm-hmm. And I love the who, because then you create your accountability person or your team players to bring to life whatever it is, whether it's a fitness goal, whether it's a life experience, whether it's a professional achievement, bringing in that who do I go to bring this together, as opposed to how I do it. And I think when we get so tripped up in our head and our thinking with how, and then the perfectionism piece comes in, that we just create all that light energy that came in with the idea becomes dense, gravity.
Yes. Well, projects have many hands within them. Yeah. Because if you don't have, the projects that they fly because of the teams. Who touches it. And it may change but you have to take that with the flow of all of it. We're not lone wolves on the planet. We're co-creators of the divine.
And when people say to me or call me and ask me, they were about bringing on a team, usually people are frustrated that, they've only been able to influence the sphere of influence that they already have. And there's only so many hours a day, days of the week. And, to have real expansion, to have real growth, you do have to bring a team in. Like, I would say for like in Hollywood terms, there are no overnight successes. Like there are maybe flash in the pans, someone has that 15 minutes of fame, but mostly true success, true creative success is, was taken a long time, and it's taken lots of teams and input. And as you said, to touch things.
And some angst.
Yeah. Always.
Oh, some angst.
Yes. Angst.
Yeah.
Yes. I always experience it myself. Like, I'm like, ugh. Yeah.
I think with creative energy, though, there's always pressure, right? And there is pressure to excel, to do incredibly well and to put one's best foot forward. And, that pressure, it can push us. And, when we activate our desire, right, we see how we're wired. If we can handle it, if we can handle the pressure, we can see our own work habits. If we're a quick starter, if we have like a burst of enthusiasm right at the get-go and then taper off, or if we have that just kind of fixed energy to just keep things humming along. That's why it's important to actually do, so that you're not just, spinning your wheels inside and say, oh yeah, this is great. And, and having that inner fire, but that fire needs to be put, into the world there.
Your passions, your discipline, your actual product, or your creativity coming to light to help others, support others, or to teach others in some way. It can't just be, we have a lot of ideas, and it stems a lot how we're raised. It's foundations of success and foundations of you can do it. And so it's very important for teachers and for parents and for siblings to always say kind words. Hey, Jason, I said them to you. And, because you're sitting here now, really, you can do it. Yeah. Yeah. So
that's huge, right? Because that sets the stage, for if you grow up in an environment where people are saying you can't do that, don't even think about, that, then that also, has a way
that's
of
in your subconscious
tamping down, one's ability to trust themselves.
Well, they say, when you're studying things, that you stop making money at the rate at your parents' salary. A lot of times you stop there. You have to give yourself permission, and sometimes they must give you permission to go past them.
Yeah, I actually do. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that.
It's really hard sometimes.
Yeah, people probably don't even recognize that
Mm-hmm.
little block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't they make
I do it through hypnotherapy, so we race through that block.
Didn't they make like $1 an hour or something like that back in the old days?
Oh, in the olden days, yeah.
So some of my favorite tools, I'm a list builder and I use a lot of calendars and I journal. Those are, so like I'm one of those people, not everybody has to be like this, but I'm just one of those people that if I write it, there's an alchemy for me.
Yes, me too.
Writing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I know people can run their whole lives off their phone and apps and do all that, but I still sign checks. Like I'm very tactile in my physical experience and it helps that for me. It helps me stay really clear and focused on where I'm at, what needs to be done, which direction am I going. It's like, it's my form of road mapping. What are your tools?
Well, no, I believe in that too, because there's a certain amount of, if you, the world is an illusion. And so it really doesn't know how much money you have in the bank. So if you build an illusionary within your mind that you have riches. That's why I do a lot of gold coins and treasure, and because then you're walking on it, you see it past the point of 360 degrees. This is all tripping your mind that you are prosperous in all ways. The earth is your bounty and blessings, and it is ours by birthright. There is no limitations on money. There's no limitations of it. There's no real fences. That we just make them, we create them. Maybe our world is trying to create a few, but really we don't have to. Those are signs, and then you just move to a different mindset. Viewpoint is everything. We have to change our viewpoint. That's strengthening the mind. The viewpoint. If we're whining about things, if we're upset about things, if our health is, getting the best of us, we have to get into that strong sense of being. Because when we do that,
I was going to say, yes, I'm going to just articulate that in my understanding, the way, because I love that whole thing about a viewpoint, and it takes that whole, can't do, black, white, and shifting the viewpoint to me is like the Trinity. If you can get out of the duality thinking, the polarity thinking, should I, shouldn't I, can I not, will this happen, won't this happen? And then as I love that, as you say, you shift the viewpoint, it becomes almost like a Trinity perspective, and you become a different player of the viewer of the dynamics, which gives you literally like a different reality just by having that experience. But again, with thinking, we get so stuck between, should I, shouldn't I, can I, can't I, maybe I will, maybe I won't, and
well, you said it. Thinking. It's like, I'm not ready yet. Like, when are you going to be ready?
Yeah.
That, we're the players that say, okay, I'm holding your hand. You need support. Everybody needs support. If you can't get it within your family, if you're wanting to do an outside project, it's all about support of around you. And if not, then, get somebody to help you. Just have a good viewpoint.
Yeah, I love that, because the viewpoint then, I believe the new currency of life going forward is not the, buyer-seller relationship. Mm-hmm. To me, it has to be that third Trinity piece of where it serves somebody else. Like mm-hmm. It's the third result. It's either the creative project or it serves a higher good. And so that being locked into that polarity of duality and it just one and the other that's like the old paradigm. That would be my language mm-hmm. for the old paradigm. And now we're coming into the space where it either has to serve somebody else or has to have a higher purpose or have to have a creative value to it. And so I just keep seeing the whole idea of the Trinity and then grabbing it with a different viewpoint, taking it mm-hmm. out and elevating the viewpoint. And that's why it's great to have action buddies.
Yeah.
Because they can either ask the questions or lead you to your a higher perspective, or you get outside feedback in, and you're not creating in a vacuum. Because I deal with a lot of professional projects. One of the things I always say to my clients is what you get value from our company is you're not creating in a vacuum. And when you create in a vacuum, you may think it's the best idea in the world, but it may not be the right time for it, or it may have already happened, or you might be too early, or you're putting effort this direction when you could be doing it this direction and getting that result. And I think it's always really, it's really great not to create in a vacuum. But a lot of people create vacuums. You know, they hide their scripts under their bed indefinitely because they're afraid to share it, or they're afraid it's going to get stolen.
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
you're bigger than
people that.
I'm like, you're bigger than your one idea. Even if it took you 10 years, it's okay. You still have more ideas than that, you know? And I also believe in templating. And I had this experience myself, but in templating, it's like you create an idea and it may not be the right timeline. You do all you can with it as a creative project, and then you have to put it aside. Sometimes life makes you put it aside. Sometimes finances makes you put it aside, but you put it aside. At this point, some people will think they'll have abandoned it. But what I've learned is that if you circle back around in timelines, you know, in a spiral time space, and then that project becomes more relevant at a different point in time, but you've already put the effort into it. So you've got the momentum behind you, you've got the vacuum of taking it back out. So I'm not big on abandoning projects. But I also don't believe in being held hostage to a product. And I've had people come to me while living out of a car trying to get a project done. I'm like, oh no, you don't have to struggle that hard to get a project done. You know, like you're out of balance over here. You know, you have to let's get this back into balance, and then, you know, come back and take a look at it at another time. So I think there's a lot of different ways of working with it, and that whole concept of what we're talking about on the show today is a desire to move forward. So it's like, you know, what does make you feel passionate? You know, what excites you? What motivates you to get out of bed?
Well, and a lot of times it's what you say, you know, because of the freedom, like, you know, you're just saying somebody living in the car, but there's a lot of people who are probably doing that right now. And the thing is that what has stemmed them into thinking that's freedom? You know, is that freedom for them? So that's the thing of what is really your motivations upcoming? What do you really want? What is the clarity of things? Because that helps you
guide your decision making and your actions. Yeah,
it's just a decision helper.
And I find that sometimes people don't actually know what the outcome of what they want is, or they think they have an idea conceptually, and you probably see it a lot closer in the work that you both do than they actually know it. And then you just guess the right questions, and they're like, oh wait, oh no, but I really want that, you know. And it's usually more tangible. I find that all problems, the solutions are like within, you know, 5 or 6 phone calls. You know, you probably have it on your desk. Like, I don't think things are so far out there that you can't either make the shift, get the right information. I believe in the rule of 3, which is asking 3 people. I believe that I practice that is even from like getting a quote on a car repair. I just ask 3 people. And the reason I do that is because I know that I don't know all the questions to ask. And usually where we miss out is that we just didn't know the right question to ask. And usually when we miss out is we just didn't have the right information to make the best decision in the moment. So I always, you know, practice the rule of 3 just to kind of get, you know, always cover myself with getting the right question that I didn't know to ask, because I didn't know. How would I know? Yeah.
That's how I read the tarot, is in 3s. You know, pulling 3 cards, and then if you want to go into a more specific answer, it's like 3 more cards. You know, because
again.
Well, you know, we think in 3s, you know, and a lot of our storytelling, you know, beginning, middle, end, you know, it's in 3s. You know, our heroes, our literature, the 3 Musketeers, the 3 Little Pigs. You know, it's like there's something about 3 that has like it's not just the one or the other, but
there's the viewpoint.
It's the added
viewpoint.
Yeah. So it's just another layer.
You get stuck in ping pong of polarity. Yeah, I think there's a lot of magic in that. And I, you know, always have to, you know, when I'm engaging in a process or with a client, I always have to ask, like, what's the bigger purpose for this? Sometimes I sign up for it because it's going to be a learning lesson for me, you know, or it's just the nature of what the message is that, you know, we'll be working on together. But I always ask that question for myself, like, you know, what's the bigger purpose for
I find that a lot of people in this realm, in the metaphysical realm, that they're goal for themselves that they're not exactly sure how to fulfill is to be a healer. It is to be a healer in the world, and helping one try to like pinpoint a direction, right? So that one is not just kind of just like sitting there spinning their wheels in the dirt, just like okay, how do I activate this desire? Just to bring it into some kind of like energetic direction, whether it's Reiki or some intuitive counseling, or if someone is wanting to go into a more physical, if they become an allopathic doctor or so, it's like looking at one's commitment, right? If it is important for one to know themselves, just if they again have the stick-to-itiveness.
We've been talking a lot about that offline, about knowing yourself, like, how important it is to know yourself.
Yeah. And, because there can be, the cheerleaders, just going, you can do it, but it's more than that, right? It's more than just having people around you, just like, pushing you. It's like, to really like kind of get in there and know where, where your fire is, your passion, and to make sure that those avenues of where you give yourself permission to excel, to succeed, making sure that all of those paths, that they're clear, right? That you're not, waking up in a panic going, it's like, oh my God, it's like the voice of my Aunt Lucy is just saying, I can't do this because I'll never amount to anything or whatever, it's like being able to clear all of that stuff before you can, get into a realm of where you're giving yourself the full permission to move forward in who it is that you need to be. And I think this great pause of the COVID, has given us time, if one has chosen to take that time to,
some people are in
to
panic
recalibrate
with their finances, their overhead. So, that puts you in a spin. We understand that, sometimes the people feel so lost. They don't know where to begin.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of a pushback. I think, obviously a lot of small businesses shut down. I think a lot of women got affected by it just because they had to take care of families at home with the kids and
it's school thing.
Yeah, the whole school thing coming back in,
We're all, I don't have small kids. I have a small granddaughter, but small kids is like, oh, yeah, she's so cute. But the thing is that, you're having to do elementary school again.
Yeah, definitely.
And junior high school and high school.
But the big pause, definitely, I think on a collective level, it's forced us to all look at, like, what are we collectively buying into? What do we think is important? What are, what is our focus on? It's amazing what doesn't become important under crisis.
Yeah. What are we willing to let go of?
Yeah.
And education isn't really one where anybody should let go of.
I also feel, this is just my opinion, but I think also the COVID was quite a panic button, because I don't think that we have a healthy relationship with death as a collective. I think that we're, I think that is why this got so amplified in the way that it did, in a really very fearful, intense, panicky way. I just think we were not right with our relationship to death and our relationship with our creator, whatever that is for ourselves. I think if we were a lot more whole in those places, this would have been a blip on the screen. And I feel at the end of it that's mostly what this was about. If people could get the lesson, is, because what is it about? Like, what's important? Like, we're all going to die. That's inevitable. That is absolutely inevitable. It is absolutely going to happen. And, if we're not right with that fundamental truth, that universal principle, and we're not okay with it, and we don't back up from there into how we're living now, then what are we doing? And and have to be right with something.
It's not to be overly morbid about yourself.
No, of course not.
And
but you can be right
to
with
stand.
that.
You need to stand with courage.
Yeah, right.
That's with every day. I mean, so you might not be ready yet. You haven't been eating well. You haven't been exercising. You haven't been, studying. Uh-oh. We got it decline.
And I think I think this whole thing, that's what really, really came up underneath of it, is that collectively we are not right with our relationship to death, because it's all going to happen. We just want it to be easier, gentler and softer than some of the harder ways to leave the body. But that's it. That's it. And so if you backtrack from that, and what are your values and how are you living your life on a day-to-day basis, that kind of is the wake-up call of 2020. What's important? Well, because we all see that, we are very mortal. We're immortal beings. And I saw you nod with me, Jason. So you concurred that this was about that, a little bit about that.
Well, it's like the gravity, right, of the so the gravitas of the larger questions. It's the it's the motivation too for getting in gear and the doing, because our time in this current incarnation is limited, right? It has an expiration date, and it isn't.
That's inevitable.
What's that?
That's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable.
Yeah. It's like no one escapes it. It's like, I think we're always surprised by, a certain personality or celebrity. It's like, what? They died? What? That can't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's sad anyway. Yeah.
And, to be able to recognize that within yourself, that's the spark of taking who it is that you need to be, why it is that you're here at this time, because you are here for a purpose at this time in history. You may feel like you're out of history, like, oh, I should have been back in the 1800s, that was my time. But, it's like you're here for a purpose, and to, just build on that, activate it. It's like sometimes, you can have just the basic spark, and as you just keep moving forward, you don't have to be the thing just right out of the gate, right? It's like you can move towards it in layers, in steps, as far as
that's the work that I do. I so agree with you, because people think that if they're not going to do it, they're not going to become an Oprah, or they're not going to become, then they don't want to do it at all. And I feel like our embodiment, which is our, what we're here to, is our creative expression. And we do it, whether it impacts one person or whether it has a privilege of impacting millions of people. And we see that come and go, but it's about having the creative expression and getting it, out there. So I love seeing people step forward in their truth of expression, whether it's to be a healer, a speaker, an author, or whatever that is, whether it's professionally or they're doing it for their personal stuff. I love seeing people do it without focusing on what the size of that outcome needs to be. Because I think success is about who we are and not what the result is on the
well, outside. Sometimes when you get to the result that you had a goal for, you have to create another goal. Yeah, because, so you saw yourself here, and maybe it didn't happen, and maybe it does happen. Maybe it's taking too much time. Maybe it's a weird time in history like now. But, so you have to reconfigure things. And when you do, then that goal becomes another goal. Yeah. And that's really important, I think.
Yeah, it keeps it moving. That definitely moves as you said, the desire to move forward. That moves it forward. And sometimes don't know. Sometimes it is safe to keep goals smaller and backed up so that the expectation isn't huge. And sometimes it's awesome to have a huge expectation, even if we don't arrive there. And it's even better when you do arrive there, and then you get to create a new goal for it.
Well, I mean, like you say, it takes like a village. It takes like steps. it takes steps to get to anywhere that you want to go. You just don't usually, not many people are flash in the pan.
Not many people. No, not many people
almost anyone
get their whole download of talent upon arrival.
Yeah.
They kind of have to work into it.
Yeah.
And I think it is okay to think in terms of, it's like with, like there are things that one can do kind of on their own, right? And then there are areas that they can collaborate with others. And I think it's okay to, see yourself as someone who, I can work with, it's like I've done workshops with Tara before. We've done a lot of stuff together. I do my own stuff, right? It's like, and you can branch out. You can, have those areas where you feel like, oh, I'm in control, of, whatever you're doing, but to stretch out and to, do things that take, other voices, other visions, right? Where you can share a vision. It is about alignment. It's like, you don't want to like put yourself into a realm that, you don't like kind of morally or, that you don't value, that won't work for you. But, you'll find ways to disrupt it, to destroy it, to like, I'm pulling out of that doesn't work for me. But when you find your tribe, when there are people that are in alignment with you, and it's like, what, that would be kind of fun. It's like I started this Wizard's Hourglass, this hour-long show where I bring in like 3 people, 3 friends, colleagues, experts, in their field of work, and it's something that is a great wealth of information for people to tap into. And, I love bringing people together.
Mm-hmm.
What's
you
that?
Both are so fantastic at it.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I just saw some of the advertising on that, to where you guys look like Hollywood Squares or something.
Yeah. It's like, who's Paul Lind, right? In the center square.
You.
Great.
That's great. I think that's great.
Yeah, no, it's like a square round table discussion, and I always love the discussions where, people can, they can add their voice. And at this time, it is important to add your voice and,
like now, consciousness and action.
Yeah.
You can be a host with Contact Talk Radio.
Yes.
That's right. I'd heard that slogan before. It's like, that's consciousness in action. Wait, that's Contact Talk Radio.
That's right.
Pioneers of consciousness broadcasting. I love
Conscious
that.
Broadcasting. Yeah, that's us.
Conscious broadcasting. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yes, a lot to. I love being a creator. I love supporting people in watching what they create. That's definitely, I get a lot of emotional satisfaction at doing that. I think that, different projects bring different values. Like I still love seeing people do books. I think that there's nothing like putting together, memorializing your story, memorializing your expertise. And even though you can do the other parts or components of like putting it on video, there's nothing more powerful, old fashioned, but I just love the tactile, the tangibility of putting word to paper, and sharing stories there
was a couple years there where doing books was really hard. There was like no sales, but now books are coming back. Yeah, books are coming back. And I just love my books. They're really all great friends. And then, I've written the 4 books, so they're definitely on Amazon. Anybody ever wants any.
And my favorite book is Blame It on Your Past Lives. Yeah. I still love that book.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's like,
I'll have a benda.
Because it's like the people, the personalities and all. When does someone take ownership, right? It's like when one is moving towards their goals and they're looking to create themselves, in the world. When does one take ownership of that identity is there a point when it's just like it's there and the individual will say, yes, I am this person, or is it always kind of in a state of becoming?
I like that question. I think taking ownership is so important. I remember being at I've already had a New York Times bestselling publishing company. I've already written probably, I think, two of my three books. I'm at a writer's retreat. And in the writer's retreat, I realized, oh my goodness, I am a writer. Like, it had never occurred to me that I am a writer. I had written, and we had ghostwritten many other people's books. For some reason I had compartmentalized that as being, I don't know, someone else. And so I had bought a sweatshirt, and it was about the writing retreat. And I just looked at it and I was like, oh, wait, I am a writer. Like, I am amongst my peers. I am amongst my colleagues. Like, it was a profound moment for me to actually own that.
Yeah, it is. It's a moment to,
I needed to sit there and like take that in. And so I think that there are moments where it is important to just really take it in. To take it in and take an accomplishment and integrate the accomplishment or the experience of the accomplishment that it took to get there. But that was a profound moment. I had never even, I would never had it on a bio. I didn't have it on a resume. I didn't have it on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, wait, I am a writer.
Is that when we take ownership, is like when we put it on our bio? I'm a writer and I'm a...
Yeah.
Well, I think we take ownership when we introduce ourselves that way, or as we introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that, for the clients that are coming to you as healers, the moment they identify themselves as a healer, they are a healer. Yeah, I think the self-identification piece is really important in creating and existing, at least to self.
Creating more opportunities for oneself out in the world.
Yeah, and the value of that. That was a profound moment for me. I'm like, I am a writer.
Yeah.
I would identify myself as a business owner and many other things, but I hadn't taken that one on. So that was important.
I love it.
Where can people find you, Jacquie? What's your website?
Thank you. tvguestbird.com is the easiest place, but we're also on Instagram. And we also have a broadcast podcast called Front and Center, which we're going to have a new episode going up tonight. And soon we'll have this lovely lady on as well. And it's Front and Center podcast.com. And on YouTube, it's the TV Guestbird Broadcast Podcast.
How do you spell Guestbird?
I love that. TVGUESTPERT.com. And it was way back when, I'll actually quickly just say, I had built a website for TV Guest Expert, and then someone took the domain name. And so I was like, so it just became TV Guestbird.
And it's shorter, right?
And it works.
It's like you win.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it works. It works. And you mentioned your wizard group.
My wizard group. No, there's no wizard group, is there?
Yeah, there's going to be. There's going to be,
right?
Right. No, it's I guess it's a wizard group, like in my classes and all that. No, I do.
Where can we find you?
Well, Jason D McKean, JASON D, as in Dumbledore, MCKEAN.com, and that's on Facebook and even Instagram, Jason Tarot Wizard. But the Wizard's Hourglass, that's my new podcast, and that's where I bring in a lot of
podcast.
Good voices, great,
So I am Tara. Tara Sutphen, not Tara Sutphen.
You are Tara Sutphen.
Yeah, TaraInsight.com is my main website at this time. And you can also find the MP3 there or at iHypnotherapy app. And it's me and Steve G. Jones, and Jason needs to I hope that he's been talking to my app master there because we want to add him. And but we are at iHypnotherapy app, and also I'm at Tara_Insight on Instagram and Tara Sutphen on Facebook, and I have 2 pages. So there's room on the other page, but there's not room.
Yeah, she's also got a lot of hidden jewels on her YouTube page under Tara Sutphen. lot of little riches there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to say again, this 9/11 time, just really be so thoughtful to others today, and maybe we can we all make a turn at knowing that when bad things happen, we can turn them into compassion and allowing grace every moment of our lives. And we've had a lot of weird hurricanes, tornadoes, besides all these crazy fires, with the COVID-19 and everybody scrambling.
I vote for Team Humanity.
Blessings, everybody. Lots of love.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Transformations with Tara. Tara hopes this program brings guidance and insight towards a better tomorrow. If you have any questions or inquiries, or would just like to know more about Tara Sutphen's workshops and seminars or private sessions, please visit her website now at tarainsight.com. Until next time, many blessings.